making a video. Free will stuff again. Modern Mystic has made a couple more videos dealing with the word free and will. I don't think he did a great job dealing with either one conceptually. So I have notes here, and I think I can break this down into understandable concepts. Once you say, okay, look, I logically understand we have no evidence in the universe of something magical that stops me from doing anything or interferes, and the brain's the same way. There's no magical force that pokes at my brain and makes it do something or makes me do something. We understand this is a mechanical system. These are all mechanical systems running like clockwork. They tick, 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 tick. Yes, it's more complicated than a clock, but it's not much more complicated than a computer or something else. It doesn't do anything completely unexplainable. Even if it makes an error, the error has a blueprint, a trail, footsteps that got it there. No magic ones. Nothing from some other dimension warps anything and twists it and makes it change. And it all follows a routine of laws, physical laws. Alright, so then we have this sense as a brain of this is active. This isn't something mechanical. Yeah, it's something mechanical, but it's something fudgy because we can't see the program. We can only run the program. So we can only read the script a word at a time. We're reading a teleprompter. We've never seen the script we're supposed to read, and we're just seeing the words pop up now. But the whole thing is written. And you can sort of imagine that if we could know the truth, if I could see tomorrow, and I see tomorrow that I'm lying dead next to a barrel with fish in it, and there's a gun by my side. Right. Like, obviously I was shooting fish in a barrel, and somehow something went wrong. So now I could say, well, why don't I just get a plane ticket to California and or something, just get away, get as far away from the barrel as possible. But you'd say, well, it's already written in the book, so something must happen that drags me back to that barrel. But so you could understand that this would create some sort of duality, universe breaking in pieces kind of thing, because logically you'd say there'd be some way I could make it impossible for me to be tomorrow lying next to a barrel with a gun with fish in it. I mean, I'd go shoot the fish now, and then the fish couldn't be the swimming fish in the barrel. Anyway, so this doesn't get too complicated, but the point is the book is already written. The story of the universe is just being read actively now. We're just reading the story. So let's agree on that. And then what do we do? What do we understand about what we're doing? Well, what our brain is doing is it's trying to see tomorrow. It's trying to read the head on the script. And over time we've acquired a certain skill at knowing certain patterns lead to certain patterns. A man with torch walks into tank of gasoline, explosion. We know certain things are going to happen. And so we can see things tending to lead to a certain future. And we can say, well, if we don't want to be lying next to the barrel, this is so weird. I mean, nobody posts, and then they post when I'm making Modern Mystic videos. It's just so strange. So you'll hear it again over here. Like I said, I can turn the sound off here, so I can spare you. Anyway, so yeah, I would do something to mitigate against what we're seeing. Alright, so our brain is, as part of the determinism, as part of what the script actually says, the subscript, where if you could read all the script also says in it, my brain is running a program, it's acquired knowledge, it understands that torches and gasoline equal explosion, it understands this, and this, it'll draw certain conclusions. This is all part of the determinants, it's all part of the script. Clearly my consciousness can't read all those parts of the script, but I can know, see, again, the brain can know these things. Its knowing is part of the script, but it can know these things. So it can know it's part of the script. And it can know that the ideas and themes that my brain occupies or has in it will affect the outcome. This is part of the script. Alright, so in this last video, the will that won't, Modern Mystic is using the example of somebody who acts on a desire, a bad desire. I'd rather just change it to, he used, murdering little kids and stuff. Let's just change it to something simple like a desire. Just make it something less horrific. Yeah, it's always easiest to go to a desire that is sexual. But I'm just saying, okay, so let's say there's, alright, I don't want to complicate it. Let's just use the word desire. Let's just understand the concept of desire. Alright, so let's play with the words first. Okay, so we have this idea of free will. I would argue that will is, okay, fine, you want to use that word for what desire wins. But what I would argue is that your will is just the one that wins, the will that wins. The desire that wins is your will. I desire to be a good person. I desire not to be evil. I desire the story of my life to be something worth reading. I desire those good things about me, and I also might desire to have sex with a 14-year-old girl or something. Now I could know that my good story can't be a good story anymore if I have sex with a 14-year-old girl. It's going to be a tainted at best story. And depending on somebody's perspective, tainted horribly or catastrophically. And so those are competing desires. I could have a physical, biological desire to do one thing, and I can have a conceptual, intelligent desire, a principled desire, not to humiliate myself. So it's still a reptilian desire in that it's an ego desire. I have to maintain my alphaness by not doing anything faggoty or queer or loser. Only losers molest children. So it's still an ego thing. It's still a very crude desire, so to speak, in terms of ego, and I want to preserve my ego by not tainting it with being caught, humiliated, and being baited. So these are competing desires. Whatever one wins, we call the person's will. And it's just kind of silly. Now the free word is just a mess. So when he did the video on free, he didn't really get to the point I think that's important, is that free is a white space word. And when I say it's a white, that's sort of my own jargon. But it's a word, like this is the image and this is the container that holds the image. And so the real word is confinement or restriction or prison or some kind of word like that. And free is just what we're calling the antonym to that. But there is no real thing called free as a concept. It only exists if there is confinement. Can you find the free? You won't be able to find the free if there's nothing constricting. There's no limiting element. And so to say anything could be free is kind of silly, because we know that there's always some kind of confinement. Even if you get out of prison, you're still in an oxygen atmosphere. Gravity is still holding you down on the earth. There's still all kinds of things limiting you. You can't fly. You can't magically turn your brain into green jello. You can't do a zillion things. So you're still hugely confined. You're just not in prison. So the word free, you're free, is kind of silly. No, you're free from prison. But you're not free because you're still in a democracy and you still have to obey the law. You can't have sex with a 14-year-old. Or you'll go back to prison. So there's no free anything. Free is just it's a non-real word. It's one we invented to describe not being in prison. But it's not useful in any other circumstance than the not limited, not tied down, not confined. And there is no such environment in the universe. So it's a bullshit word. It just should be, we should just do our best to say, let's not play with it. See, you clearly wouldn't say free desires. I have a free desire, or free action. None of those things are free. I mean, you don't desire freely. I freely desire. No, you get hungry, you get horny, you have to go take a poo. These things are not freely acquired, they're imposed on you. You don't go to the free store to get them. They happen, and you have to deal with them. They're confining in the sense they're going to occupy me, hunger, until I resolve it. It's not free anywhere. So, like I said, we just wouldn't say free desire. So it's not a legitimate word. Will is a concept built on desire or compulsion. Alright, so now here's the sort of interesting part. We get into like deterrence. So the mystic, I think, is missing a level of intellectual perspective on the whole concept, in the sense that he's just dealing with religion, some sort of moral code, and then some sort of law, we must punish the evil, as if we're doing it in a religious way. And I think everybody kind of does this. Like, they think we punish prisoners, they punish bad people because they're bad people. And no, we punish them. Like, say if the world was going to end tomorrow, you wouldn't waste time punishing bad people. You would just say, fuck it. If there's another planet going to crash into the earth, I'm sure you'd just say, there's no point in punishing people anymore. There's no point in whipping that slave or doing that. None of this stuff makes any sense. Fuck it. More pain for what? The idea is you're doing it because it's deterrence. It creates in other people. People who haven't committed the crime now will have a different, wheels will turn, and their behavior will change based on the fact that you've created this thing called deterrence in the world, in their external world, and it becomes part of their internal understanding. So that's the real value of reward and punishment. It's not about the person you're rewarding or punishing. It's about incentivizing the other people. It's about making them think they'll get a reward, or making them think they'll get punished, and then they'll change their behavior. If I tell you you will get paid $1 million for not having sex with the 14-year-old, you're going to have an incentive not to, that is most likely going to overwhelm your desire to take the goodies, because you know you have a bigger goodie prize if you do the right thing. And it clearly works. It's part of the let's make a deal that is every decision. Every decision is like the show Let's Make a Deal. And all you do is you just add some little thing. Well, here, if you take box number 2, we'll also give you box number 4. Yeah. So you have curtain number 1, you have box number 2 that's now got box number 4 with it, and you have, whatever, tray number 3. And you just do this packaging thing. You show people, look, you get at least a refrigerator if you take this one. But that's all that's going on in your head, is let's make a deal. That's the choice being made. And what reward and punishment existing in the world does is it incentivizes people to choose the right thing, because now we're able to put reward on good behavior and punishment on bad behavior. So the bad box we can put punishment on, the good box we can put $1 million on, and that'll encourage people. And that's what I would argue in this whole inheritance thing, is that it's a terribly stupid thing, because it breaks reward and punishment. You're giving out huge, preposterous rewards for doing nothing, while at the same time you're punishing people for doing nothing but being born in a slum. That's really dumb. That's losing your opportunity to gain the best value out of this tool you have to incentivize behavior. Alright, so the key problem the mystic did in his example was he took an individual who's going to make a decision to, let's say, have sex with a 14-year-old, just to fix his murder an 8-year-old, and he took it out of, he just made it an individual not having any influences. So he didn't go through the processes of thought or even the processes of whether the person had time to think. So clearly the situation, I could describe the situation, I could say here's two situations with a 14-year-old and somebody who's horny for one. And depending on how I make that situation happen, really quick or the person has time to think, they'll make a different choice. Because if they have time to think, they'll say something like, oh, I know if I have sex, it's not going to satisfy me anyway, and I get caught and it's no good. But if the other situation is, you know, his pants accidentally fall off or some other stupid thing happens and she smiles and so that indicates that she's interested in some, and he just falls into a seduction, okay, which is a very different thing than thinking about it first. So that would be the circumstantial difference, but that whole circumstance is a closed circumstance. It doesn't have anything to do with, hey, the pedophile on his way to the molestation bumped into Gary and Gary started saying things like, well, you know, 8 out of 7 14-year-old sluts that'll have sex with you have herpes, and blah blah blah. You know, he went through a whole spiel of these things, and you know, just point out the logic thing. You know, like, you know, your desire isn't, it's just not going to be enough, and 3 days from now you're going to be just as horny, and you know, maybe even more so, because now you've really got the blood. You're like a vampire, you've tasted the blood, you're going to want more, so just don't go there, buddy, or something like that. And the person's behavior changes because they have been given a different program, has more strength or dominance now. I did some statement about the whole, but really, do you want people to be spitting on your grave and shit? You want your epitaph to be, thank God the motherfucker's dead. Yay! Hip hip hooray! Isn't that really what you want to have happen? You know, just for a little bit of, I mean, you know, come on. You know, I'll go buy you, look, we can go find some dog to blow your dick or something. Come on. I can talk a dog into it. That's probably evil, right? You know, it's dog molestation, so never mind. I'm just saying, you know, it's really not that hard masturbating. Come on. You really don't need the 14-year-old. Just close your eyes and pretend, fucker. Come on, it's not that difficult. You don't even have to close them. You just kind of squint your eyes and you can kind of make anything look like a 14-year-old girl. It's really not that hard. Come on, you can do it. So anyway, the point is there's things in the world that are happening, swirling, buzzing, ticking, blah blah blah, and they will interact with your thing that's ticking and it'll swirl it in some other direction. It'll affect it. And it's all written in the book. It was inevitable it was going to happen that way. But the point is we can understand the causes and the effects. We can see how that, oh yeah, we can see how that swirled into that and that connected with that, and that's why that didn't happen. Somebody said stop and the mystic didn't walk off the cliff and he turned and had a lovely picture of a mockingbird. I mean, that's how it happens. We can see it's all very logical in a way, in terms of the way the forces are mechanical. And but we can also understand that the only thing preventing a good future is that everybody's occupied in doing really stupid shit, and they should be trying to do really good shit. If if you want information, you know, if you want a good road, you got to put a foundation down. You got to follow the rules. You want a building that stays up, you got to follow the rules. You want a civilization that is magnificent, you got to follow the rules of magnificent civilization. These are just the way things are done. You have to engineer the future. You can't just let it happen. Letting it happen is just babbling at each other instead of informing each other. It's keeping your special recipe all to yourself or something. I mean, there's no value in that. The value is in taking the information and making the most of it. And you can't do that watching Bugs Bunny cartoons, which is a dated example. Watching SpongeBob. Although SpongeBob has some good philosophical concepts wrapped in it, I'm just saying it's really not brain food. And you know you watch an episode more than once, and that's just evil. Don't do that. Video games, whatever the example is. There's just so many things that people are just not working on. The fact that this takes some work to engineer these good choices. And it takes a little bit of work, all right, for us to do the let's fix the broken and put these incentives in the right place. Let's put the rewards on the right boxes, and let's put the punishments on the right boxes. Now it takes a little bit of work, and nobody wants to do the work. Everybody wants to do the my kids are special. Fuck you. All kids aren't the same. Fuck you. They just want to do the knee-jerk Mexicans suck. Drop a wall on them. You know, they're just knee jerks, and they have to be encouraged to quit being knee jerks and use their brain and understand that part of the inevitable process, if human beings are, if it is in the book that human beings are brilliant somehow, the only way they're going to do that is they have to become brilliant. And you can quite obviously see we're not doing brilliant things. So we're not going to have a brilliant future because we're not in a brilliant present, and we're not coming from a brilliant past. So somewhere along the line here there has to be evidence that we do catch on and that we do really fix things. Now it is true that we have done some of that. Social Security and whatnot. You know, healthcare, what they said, blah 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 blah. Well, I mean that system's almost backwards, right? We spend like 80% of the healthcare dollar is spent keeping people who are basically unconscious, or brain dead, or brain retarded, in some sort of gurgling state. Yeah, that's what we're... And it's like the solar panel thing. I mean, I could just use... I mean, shit, it's just... Oh, let's do something green. 80% inefficiently. I mean, let's just get rid of 80% of the efficiency. Because we love capitalism. And can't do anything rationally. Yeah. So anyway. I think I got to the concepts. Look, this isn't going to prove to some idiot who thinks they're doing something magical in their brain that they didn't need to somehow build their character to have character, that they didn't have to somehow learn through experience that dogs bite and that this happens and that that happens and that, you know, all this moral codes and ethics and decency, that they somehow didn't have to learn all of that shit. There's no magical desire to be good. You have to acquire the desire to be good. You have to understand what good is by acquiring knowledge of bad and good and stuff. So there's no magic to any of this. So yes, our will and our activity in the world has nothing to do with anything free. You can't unlearn it. Once you know 2 + 2 is 4, you just can't honestly make it 3 or 5. You just can't, because you know it's 4. And so there's no freedom in that, is it? Are you really free to believe 2 + 2 = 3? Or 2 + 2 = 5? Am I really free to do that? I don't think I am anywhere close to free to do that. So anyway, it's probably enough. But yeah, I mean, some people just won't let go of it. They just love the word free, which is an imbecile's word, like the word love, another imbecile word. And most of the human race runs on that lollipop, cotton candy, you know, baby talk. And that's unfortunate. But you can really understand in a rational analysis that we're just a set of desires, and that some of the desires are hugely involved with interactions with other people and communications and ideas and concepts, and you gain understanding of the world and how it works. In chess, you learn how to play chess. It's not something innate. You have to learn how the rules of the game. And so some of these desires we have end up folding into our ego, and that folding into our ego becomes our passion, and they become things we might call principles that we just won't violate, because we know they're connected to whether or not I'm alpha or beta. And if I violate them, I'm beta. It's just true. And once you know that, it really becomes hard to violate them. So even if you have a competing desire, you want the 14-year-old, the alpha concept will save you from disgracing yourself. Yeah. But it is just competing desires, and we have to create the compelling desire in other people to get into the be good competition. Be good. And we really need to incentivize being good, create rewards for it, and there has to be punishment for being bad, or people will be bad, because, gee, if I stay free and I can be bad, yeah, if there's no prison, yeah, the cockroach inside of us will probably win then, because those are strong desires, stronger than just ideas anyway. So the only way you can make ideas strong is you have to give them a little incentive sugar. You have to put a little bit of punishment, a little fear, and a little greed. You have to, hey, there's some money in it for you, buddy. Being good pays. You gotta make being good pays. You gotta make being bad expensive. Alright, that's probably enough. Sorry about the bobbling. I'm a little bobbly. But anyway, yeah, I think I covered enough of it. So yeah, the future is hard to predict. We see something of it. That's the idea, that we're part of the determinism. Everything we are was created by a past circumstance, and that part is seeing the mechanics of the script. It sees the rules of the script, but it can't see details. It can't see anything for certain. Well, there's certain certainties. Like I say, you can be pretty damn sure if Mystic walks into the gas tank with a lit torch, he's not going to ShopRite tomorrow. Anyway, let's see. Exterior game versus interior game. Yeah, so there's the knowledge I already contain that can do stuff, and depending on how much time it has to gear work, it can come up with different answers, but it is limited. And any time I have contact with something external, then something new can happen. It's more ingredients, and so now it's possible that the cookie can be a different cookie, because now I have more ingredients. And but it's still one book in the end. Because he says things like there's no point in this concept of a you, and when he starts getting there, that's where everything goes sideways. That's not going to work for me. I mean, we're quite obviously independent watches that are part of a bigger clock. I don't know how else to say that, but we're all you watches, and it's all it clock, Anyway. So yeah, enough. So the important thing is competing interests are all that will is made out of. Whatever competing interest, whatever interest wins, we call that your will. And free is a silly word. It's a white space word. Just can't mean anything without qualification. Free from prison. Okay, you can be free from prison. But free anything? No, silly. there's no free lunch, there's no free. Free is not a free word. It's just bad. It's just, you will break conceptual understanding if you use this word free liberally. Alright, anyway, that's enough now. Probably. Yeah. Well, he did make some point about religion, and then the law tried to copy religion. It's the other way around. I mean, law came first, then religion. I'm sure there was, before there was the notion of God, there was law in the sense that people made rules about how you're going to behave. You know, you're not going to fuck my bitches, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. Those laws were always sort of written. You know, the religion thing is kind of just a separate becoming problem. You know, when we started getting half intelligent, being able to notice a few things over time, like we're dying and we do this and we do that, we had to come up with explanations, and we didn't have enough information to make decent drawings of the truth, so we made silly cartoon drawings of the truth. That's all it is. Yeah. Alright. That's enough. I mean, the whole idea of connecting the law and, you know, punishment to religion, I don't think is necessary at all. I don't think the two, I think people punished each other. I think people beat the shit out of each other long before religion showed up. I think they used reward and punishment on people long before religion. So I don't think there's any need to say that somehow the law was invented to impose God's will. You know, that's not true. Laws are invented because they work, generally speaking. That's why you have them, is because they tend to work in accomplishing some sort of, get them to pick, you know, curtain number 1. And you break them when you break the idea that you're going to connect the rewards to the bad stuff, regardless of the fact that they couldn't help it. Who cares? The point is, if you pick the wrong box, you're going to get stuck with what's connected to it. And that's the punishment. And it's what makes the reward and punishment concept work, is the fact that that's what you're going to get, fucker. Whether it's your fault or not. It's clearly your fault, though, but you picked the stupid box that had punishment written on it. I mean, fuck you, retard. I mean, there's a certain point where you just say, shit, if you're that stupid, you probably should be treated like the bugs you step on. Fuck's sake. Anyway. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. I could probably add more, but I won't. Okay, till next time. I don't. Mystic is always kind of so difficult to. You know, it's so easy to hit a wrong button on him. He's really, whoops! I hit the wrong button. He's not going to talk to me for 5 years. So maybe I did something. You know, I don't know if he's going to be responsive to the actual concepts articulated in the last 2 videos I made, but we'll see. Anyway, till next time.